Nathaniel Hackett. He's done. He's gone. He will never get another job in the NFL. Just had to say it. It's the breaking groin of the NFL right now. Boys, pray for that man.
Yeah, I think he'll find a job. I think he'll actually end up back with the Packers, if I'm being honest, in like some sort of like offensive role,
offensive assistant to the assistant,
whatever it might be. But yeah, I mean, Nathaniel Hackett, very short-lived time in Denver, a dumpster fire of a season.
Getting blown out by the Rams. They don't have any of their players. Baker Mayfield got cut. And then they scored 51 points.
You can just tell that they didn't want to play for him anymore. He lost the locker room. There was no more motivation. I mean, Russell Wilson is a dumpster fire. The team is a disaster. Nathaniel Hackett has no idea what he's doing as a head coach. He was clearly in over his head from the start, and he is no longer there. But that is not what we are talking about today, as we are focusing on the Green Bay Packers. What a Christmas day it was for Packers fans around the world as the Packers delivered their biggest win of the year in Miami, as Tyler and I predicted.
They're still alive somehow.
The Dolphins, we were going to get our big win when we needed it, and here the Packers come, looking at 4-8. Fast forward 3 wins in a row later to 7-8, when every single Packers fan, including us, thought all hope was lost. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers have won 3 straight, got their biggest win in Miami. We are going to break down that win. We are going to talk about the updated playoff odds, and we are going to finish it off with a preview of the Minnesota Vikings. So, boys, a 26-20 win in Miami. Unbelievable. I feel like both teams didn't want to win for most of the game. I don't know if anybody else thought of that, but just constant errors. I mean, lacking poor judgment, the fake punt by the Packers, the missed opportunities and missed throws by Rodgers. Really horrendous big play defense in the first half. But we managed to come through with a win. Mike, thoughts?
So I want to say, I know the Nickelodeon game of the week was the Broncos and the Rams, but if the Packers-Dolphins game was the Nickelodeon game of the week, the MVP is going to go to Keisean Nixon. I mean, he had a 93-yard kickoff return. I know we could only convert for a field goal, but holy crap, has he kind of been on our saving grace for the season? Over the past 3 weeks, he's had great kick returns for us, helping us win these kind of ugly win games where we haven't really blown out anybody, but helping with better starting field position has just been a godsend for us. So that's why I wanted to highlight right off the bat.
Good point. It's such a huge difference having a playmaker like that. I mean, even when they punt, obviously he had that major return in the beginning of the game. They were scared of him. They squibbed it. He had amazing field position because of that. Like, having a guy back there like that is an absolute game changer, both for the punt team and for the kickoff return team. I mean, we saw what Amari Rodgers did for the entire year. I mean, every time he's back there, it's just like, oh, God, what's going to happen next? Oh, God. But I love that he's a God-saving grace for us. Unfortunately, he did get hurt in the game. Also did our other offensive playmaker and catalyst, Christian Watson, also got hurt. I just got a text from the floor. He said that they're both day-to-day. So it's looking like, we'll probably have them for New Year's Day. They might not be fully healthy, but, we need our electric playmakers out there against a solid Vikings defense. But yeah, that's where we are right now with the update of that.
If I could run off that point too, I mean, how rare it is in the league. Do you see a kick returner that truly is a difference maker in the game? I mean, you have kick returners all the time that are good and fast and yada yada, but man, what Keisean Nixon is doing is unbelievable. Every kick return that he has, he's returning it 60 yards. It's insane. I mean, this kid is unbelievable, and it's really frustrating that we didn't see this earlier. But I would also say, I mean, I haven't seen kick returning like this since Devin Hester. I mean, this is insane. Like I've never seen every single kick return the guy has. He returns at 50 yards. I haven't seen anything like it. I really have not. I mean, this is crazy. And
is he the second coming of Devin Hester?
This is like something I've never seen anything like this before. I was talking to my dad about this. I was like, Keisean Nixon returns the opening kickoff 85 yards, and it's just like
casual.
Man, just expected. It's expected. Granted, we did get inside the 10-yard line, and our incompetent red zone offense could not get the ball into the end zone. And
we stall out every time.
But it is that's something that I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit too, boys. You know, the Packers are a team that very well could have 10, 11, 12 wins this season. I think they've been the opposite product of the Vikings. They've had a lot of bad luck. And I think that's very safe to say, along with a pretty tough schedule. But it's these missed opportunities, boys. Missed opportunities. I mean, we're in the red zone how many times in this game, and we were kicking we're settling for field goals. It's frustrating. I mean, I'm failing to understand the calls in the red zone. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on it? I'm just confused by it, Mike.
The one thing that I noticed today from the Packers, they were a lot more aggressive in their play calling. There were times that it bit us in the butt. There were a couple fourth down conversions we didn't get. There were some just, Rodgers interception in the end zone that was targeted for Lazard. Like, those are some of the risks that we're going to have to take and live and die by it. But there were a couple key, crucial third and fourth down conversions where we could extend a drive to put some points on the board. So Matt LaFleur growing an extra pair of balls this past week. And
he's got a set of Stally Mike balls right now.
Yeah, just like on that fake punt call on there.
That one was bad. That was disgusting. And what, our own 25-yard line? Like, I almost turned off the game. I almost had an aneurysm.
We are done. We can't stop them. That was horrific call. Just unbelievable.
But, yeah, as long as we're talking about missed opportunities, talk about the Packers and what we had talked about, Max, last week. We needed to pressure Tua. That was really our only chance. Tua Tagovailoa missed so many opportunities for the Dolphins. He lost them.
He did.
Game. He won the game for us. We really should not have won that game. Like, with how the Dolphins are normally. Tua, obviously, he's in health concerns right now, having the concussion protocol, whatever. I mean, his brain has got to be absolutely scrambled eggs right now. But talk about missed opportunities for him, having, 3 interceptions, missing so many throws, just looking timid, looking pressured, looking like he couldn't handle, the big moments. And I think that goes to show that, Tua, is he looking overinflated for how good he is because of the guys that he's surrounded with? Are we starting to see the true Tua of, when the big moments come, he kind of flutters under the pressure?
I think it's very obvious that Tua is as good as his supporting cast. I think that's been the case all year. And what I realized watching the game, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, they're so clearly the best 1-2 punch receivers in the league. Not only that, but and the complementary players that they have around them.
Yeah, they have 2 really good running backs.
I mean, at this point, Tua has to be losing them games for them to be losing.
And that's what happened with the Packers. We got lucky, to be honest.
But I agreed with 95% of what you said. I don't think the Packers got fully lucky. I think their defense played very well.
Yeah, they pressured him, which was what we needed.
There's a reason why Tua felt pressured. We allowed 0 points in the second half, boys. 0 points.
Tua was concussed.
That's not just all luck. That is.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. They pressured the quarterback like they needed to, but also Tua's throws were nowhere near where they needed to be. If you really look back at it, they were wild.
I would agree, but from what I've heard, I think our cornerbacks did bait Tua into some bad decisions.
The Devondre Campbell one was a good one. That was a good interception.
And Rasul Douglas was too. Rasul Douglas was supposed to cut across the middle, and he ended up fading back, and Tua threw it right to him because Tua didn't expect him to go there. So there were some plays that our defense disguised coverage very well, and we had guys in the right spots at the right time. that is not negating what you said, Tyler, about Tua.
Yeah, no, I
Played horrible. His throws and decision making was horrible. Mike, it looked like you wanted to talk. Sorry.
All I know is that we're going to have to continue to pressure the quarterback going on to the Vikings next week. I know we're going to get into a Vikings preview a little bit later on here, but that's what you got to do with Kirk Cousins. That's what the Giants did to the Vikings this past week. They pressure Kirk Cousins, and when he gets flustered, he's not good at being mobile in the pocket. And Tua, by far, is a lot more mobile. But, yeah, when Tua got that, I think he got a hit after a pass in the second quarter. His head hit hard, and I think that affected some of his decision-making.
I'm worried about, like, his actual health at this point. I mean,
is it worth even playing in the NFL anymore?
3, 4, 5 concussions this year. I mean, they didn't diagnose the first one, or they misdiagnosed one of them, and then he went back in next game. Like, I mean, having that many concussions that are diagnosed, let alone the ones that aren't diagnosed, because there's probably so many of those with every hit. You know, you're hitting little concussions in football. Like, that man, I'm very worried about his health going forward. He's going to have some CTE, I think, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is sad, but ultimately to transition, all in all, I mean, just an unbelievable, groundbreaking win for the Packers, and I think they turned a lot of heads going down to Miami and beating a desperate Miami team. Like, Miami is just as desperate as we are right now. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah, we're playing for our lives. So are they.
We have nothing to lose. I mean, nobody expects anything from us. The Dolphins expect it all. And in my intellectual minute, I talked about this. This is exactly what I said. We have Rodgers. We have nothing to lose. And we have the momentum. We won 2 games in a row. Yeah, they were against bad teams, but it shows that the momentum is clearly carrying. And the Packers are starting to really build up that team chemistry, it seems, on defense and on offense. Sure seems like guys are in the right spots at the right times now more than ever. So it is exciting. So, boys, here we go. We're in the home stretch here. We got 2 more games. We got the Vikings. We got the Lions at home. We got to win both of those 2 games to get in. And we need the Washington Commanders or the New York Giants to lose. Washington Commanders 1 game, New York Giants 2 games. What are we thinking here? We're pretty darn dangerous right now, if you ask me.
The thing is, we still need a little bit of help. And I don't know if you guys can pull up the Giants and Washington R-Words schedules for the remainder of the year.
I know the Commanders have the Browns and the Cowboys. That's all I know. So the Cowboys are playing.
I don't have any confidence in the Browns, but I mean, if the Cowboys too, like, are they going to be playing their backups?
Yeah, I don't know.
Cowboys got a big win against the Eagles this week. So they're still in it, dude.
Yeah, I guess maybe they could. The Eagles need to lose out, but I think they still have the advantage on. I don't know. We'll have to look into that.
Jalen's hurt.
Pretty sure the Commanders brought back Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz, yeah.
He could be our savior.
On Heinegard. Or Heinegard, sorry. Heineke.
Why would they do that? That's just stupid.
I mean,
Carson Wentz is so bad.
Heineke's winning, they're winning games as a team, but he's not the reason. They rallied around him, but he really is not that good of a player.
Well, no, I know that, but is Carson Wentz much better?
Technically, by talent, I would say much more.
All right.
But
Mike, were you your point?
The Lions.
Mike, were you done? Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt.
I was just going to say we still need a little help, even if we do win out. But I like our odds if we do win out. One thing about the Giants, do you know who they played, Ty, in their last couple games?
I'll check.
They did lose to the Vikings this past week, and I'll be honest, they're not a bad team. Daniel Jones, his decision-making for passing isn't always there, but if Saquon stays healthy, I can't even tell you who their wide receivers are.
They have a disastrous Colts team coming up next January 1st, and then they have the Eagles. Obviously, Eagles, no matter what, are kind of a powerhouse, so you just really need to root for the Colts. But to go off all this, I will say the Lions did show some weakness this week and getting pounded. Their rush defense is the worst. Like their defense just overall is like the worst thing I've ever seen. I think next year the Lions, I think they have their quarterback of their future with Jared Goff. I don't think they're going to be going for a quarterback anymore. They need to beef up that defense because they are horrible. They let up over 300 rushing yards to the Panthers. They let the Panthers with Sam Darnold score 37 points. I think we have the ability to put up a lot of points on the Lions. I'm still scared of their offense when we do come to that matchup. But, they showed some weakness. Losing to the Panthers, I guess, they could win their division. They could be a playoff team. But realistically, the Panthers, not a lot of people think of them as a great team.
There is a reality. There is a reality to what the Packers need to do. The Vikings are a remarkably overrated football team. They have been in 12 games this year. They have played in one-score games. They could have just easily have 11 losses as they do wins, right? I'm not discrediting the Vikings. They've won the games. Right? That's all that matters. That's like when the Packers a couple years ago in 2018 when we went 13-3 and everybody's like, oh, well, they're frauds, right? We were frauds. We got pounded in the NFC Championship game. But we're fine with that. We made it there. Nobody thought we were going to win the Super Bowl that year, right? The Vikings are in the same boat. They've won the close games. So credit to them. Does that make them not frauds? Absolutely not. They are frauds.
They got lucky again. Game-winning field goal this week.
They were down 36 points at home to the Indianapolis Colts. This team they are scrappy, but they're not that good. The DVOA for the team, the NFL predictions have them like statistically at like 6 wins this year, and they have the Packers at 7. So it's like they're not as good as what their record says that they are, especially with a team with a net point differential. We have the Vikings this week. We got to take care of business at home. We have to. You got to win that game. And then if you can't beat Detroit at home to get into the playoffs, you got some problems. You can't lose 2 times in one season to Detroit. You cannot do that. The Packers.
No, Detroit's going to fuck up. They always do. They always, at the end of the year, whenever it's something you can count on, it's always Detroit Lions fucking up.
The last point that I'll make, guys, after we win against the Lions, because you got to win out. Before you worry about the Commanders, the Giants, anything, you got to win out. After we win that game, we will be on a 5-game win streak, heading in to most likely play either the Vikings or San Fran. First round of the playoffs.
I want to play San Fran. I want to play the Vikings very badly. Have someone else take the
Vikings. But I think that if we
the 49ers, I'm kind of just like,
yeah. We have Rodgers though. We have Rodgers. There is that. We got the Vikings.
Rodgers hasn't been that great. If we're really talking realistically here, Rodgers has not been that great.
I don't think he's been great, but I also feel like we don't have a star receiver like everybody else has. We have all rookies.
Up and coming.
Up and coming is one thing, but you got guys that you can't really trust yet. And we have Christian Watson who's good, but look at Tua. He's got Hill and Waddle. Jalen Hurts has got A.J. Brown. Derek Carr has got Devontae Adams, who sucks. But we don't have anybody that's like a star receiver that we can really rely on. Mike?
Going with that, there's this pretty up-and-coming guy. I think his name's Mercedes Lewis.
Big Dog Lewis is on the up and coming. I agree.
It's Max, it's a very interesting mix because you have Robert Tonyan, you have Randall Cobb, you have Mercedes Lewis, guys that Rodgers does have rapport with. But I think you're kind of seeing what's that?
They're all physically ill because they're all old.
Pretty much. But Ty, to go on your comment about Rodgers being a possible problem, a lot of the miscues are with the Lazards, the Romeo Dobbs, the Watsons, where that chemistry just isn't there yet. And that's where I see a lot of these miscommunications happening. So that is kind of a fixable thing as opposed to a quarterback's arm or decision making, I'd say.
Right.
So that's what I'll do to defend Rodgers.
I will tell you what, though. We need Christian Watson and Keisean Nixon to be healthy for our offense to really do anything. I mean, they've been the two major catalysts, obviously, for our special teams and for our offense. You know, when Christian Watson started rolling, our season kind of, started to flip in the right direction. I think it's crucial for them to get healthy this week for us to be able to, have success against the Vikings on offense, at least.
Yeah. Guys, give me keys to victory against the Vikings so we can wrap this sucker up.
Sure. I'll go first. Number one, I'm still concerned about our secondary. You can take a look at our last game against the Dolphins. Oh, look, 3 interceptions. Well, you know what? Waddle and TJ, Tyreek Hill absolutely tore up our secondary. Russell Douglas
they both had over 120 yards.
Was on the bad end of those a lot of times. And when you have the Vikings next week, you have possible MVP contender, probably not, but Justin Jefferson, absolute beast. TJ Hawkinson, absolute beast. A nice pickup that they made midseason. So
still have one of the best running backs in the league. I mean, our rush defense is horrible.
Yeah.
Our rush defense wasn't so bad against Miami.
It's true.
So the one thing, I have a question for all Vikings fans out there. Probably none of them listening, let's be honest.
Oh, I'm sure they will. So give them the message.
You, as like a sane person, you have to be at least a little annoyed by this sound by now in the season, right? I swear to God, I was watching the Giants-Vikings game and the game highlights. It's like after every other play, they play that stupid horn. That's literally what it sounded like to me. It sounded like someone having a stroke and trying to yell like at all times. You got to be at least a little annoyed by that. Like, I know it's supposed to fire you up like, oh, it's 4th down or there's a turnover, big offense.
Use it a little more sparingly.
Yeah, at least a little more sparingly, 100%. So that's all I have. Max or Ty, what do you have for?
I'll go next. I think again, what showed to work for us last week was we needed to pressure Tua. When we pressured Tua, good things happens for our defense. He started making bad decisions. I think we need to do the same thing with Kirk Cousins. We're not going to stop Justin Jefferson. It's just not going to happen. He's going to get his 10 catches. He's going to get his 100 yards. We're going to make mistakes in our secondary against TJ Hawkinson too, like you said, Mike. But as long as we may have Kirk Cousins make some mistakes, that lead to a few turnovers and we capitalize on those turnovers, I think that's where this game is going to come down to, is making, creating those turnovers, creating those mistakes against the Vikings, and then being able to capitalize on them. And then also the next key, my second and final key, obviously the health of our up-and-coming stars of Keisean and Christian Watson. We need them to be healthy. We need the catalyst for our offense.
I think you can add Aaron Jones into that, Tyler.
Yeah, Aaron Jones didn't get enough touches last week either. I think we need to get Aaron Jones 20 touches next week.
He's been hurt.
Simply not okay to have him not touching the ball. I mean, the guy damn near gets 5, 10, 15 yards of play every time.
He has been hurt, to his defense. To Matt LaFleur's defense, Aaron Jones the last 3 weeks has been banged up with that ankle. But yes, to add to that, Aaron Jones is the best player on the field. So we need him on the healthy list too, because we need him out there. I'll wrap it up. I got 2 keys to victory. My number 1 is aggressive defense. That is what we played the entire second half against Miami, and it worked. You realize that you saw our cornerbacks, right? You realize that they weren't 15 yards off every single receiver. Yeah, that's how we need to play defense. Press coverage. Get up in those guys' grills and make them beat you. Make guys beat you. Stop giving them 15, 20 yards of cushion every single play and then dropping back into some soft zone defense. That is not us. That's not how we're built. We need to continue to press, and that allows pressure, as Tyler's point, and it allows more turnovers. That's what that defense does, and I think that's what we need to do. We need to pressure Cousins on the road. They'll be on the road. We'll be at home, and make them uncomfortable. Number 1. Number 2, red zone offense. We need to come out of the red zone with touchdowns. We need to
No
score
more field goals.
touchdowns in the red zone. It is a disaster this year in the red zone, and we need to fix it. Like, that is the one thing. I think, though, we would have won the last 3-4 games by 5 touchdowns if we would have been able to score in the red zone. Like, our offense, we are looking so much better offensively and defensively. We are looking so much better, but we need to score in the red zone in order to beat these good teams in the playoffs and or getting to the playoffs. So that is our conclusion. The Packers are slowly but surely establishing themselves as legitimate Super Bowl contenders yet again in a wide open NFC. We got to get in.
I still feel like a crackhead for saying that, but let's ride.
Let's ride. All right, guys. Tune in, subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We are what you want to listen to. Just manifest it. We are what you want to listen to. But anyway, Intellectual Idiots, that wraps up our episode for today. Tyler?
Intellectual idiots are out.